everything. Start the recording. Switch screens. All right, well, welcome back, guys. I know it's been a month since we last played, but I appreciate you guys coming back all the same. This is our seventh session of the Adiona game, even though we started at 0, so it'll be labeled 6. You know what the hell I mean. I only have, I think off the top of my head, two announcements of sorts. The first being is that my October schedule is going to be a little bit busy. So depending on how the rest of the games work out, some games might be going remaining weekly, others might not. We'll see. And I'm doing that not just so I don't burn out, but also so that I actually bring you guys a good game, and it's not just me throwing together haphazard stuff at the last minute. Um, More on that as we get closer. I know we October literally starts in like 6 days, but I'll keep you guys informed best I can. But the plan is for this group at least to remain weekly for the time being. But I thought I'd mention it all the same. The other announcement I have is that actually I don't need to cover that for this group, so never mind. So I think unless anyone has any points of order they want to handle at the top of the session, we'll just go ahead and jump right in. All right, so it has been, we'll say, 3 to 4 weeks since your encounter with the paradoxical neutron star and the, well, I guess you could call it shenanigans that followed around it. You were able to successfully, or at least so you gather, divert a Toth scout ship that, had it been lost due to a some form of complication involving the neutron star, would have eventually caused a war to break out and the Fryla to be wiped out and the Alpha Quadrant to come under attack. All that lovely stuff that was thankfully halted, all thanks to a singular hail. Funny how things like that work out sometimes. But in any event, with crisis averted, you continued on your mission towards the core of the Andromeda Galaxy. And today, we start off the session with, hold on, with Havoc and Merrick. You guys are currently in the main science lab, and you guys are running a experiment on your chunk of neutronium. Now, I'm going to let you guys define what that experiment is, but I think this is a very good way to open up the session considering what we will be dealing with today. So, I guess my first question to the both of you is, what would be the experiment you'd like to run for this opener here?
Well, last when we looked at it, we confirmed that it absorbed the Andromeda radiation and the energy was kept within the neutronium. That's correct.
That is correct.
I'd like to monitor to see if the energy is just simply maintained or if it bleeds off, if it, dissipates.
Okay. The let's see, the careful observation of the chunk of material, and you have fine enough instruments that you would be able to detect down to a pretty I would say very how do I want to say this?
A few joules.
Yeah, like you can narrow it down pretty damn quick if it's absorbing it or if it's bleeding it off. And sure enough, it does seem to be bleeding off the excess energy, but in a way that is less than, say, background radiation. So if you didn't know what you were looking for, you'd miss it entirely.
Is it bleeding off as heat, light, sound,
Mostly
vibration?
heat.
Heat. Okay. And perhaps something else we might try is different radiations, see how it absorbs them, or like kinetic energy.
I mean, I don't have a problem with that. You certainly could.
Okay, so we give it a whack, and does the energy
Wait,
inside it?
it's just a small question. What are we whacking it with? Because I don't want to lose another sledgehammer.
Uh, can be anything. Something that we know we can measure. Like a tuning fork. Even the tuning fork would lose energy. It would go into the object. Can we monitor increase in the energy in the object?
All right, well, off the top of my head, I can't think of a good instrument, but there would be several such implements on board. So we'll say you use one of them, and the impact or the kinetic impact doesn't really seem to do anything. No, it seems to pretty much remain unchanged.
So there's something special or unique about the Andromeda radiation so far.
Possibly, I think I'd like to say, or at least qualify, that it kinetic impact doesn't really seem to have any effect at all on this neutronium. It's just so dense a substance that casual striking of it doesn't do anything.
How about fire?
Fire does nothing as well. It just sort of leaves some char marks across the surface, but it's very superficial. Like you can just scrape off the ash.
Any ideas, Commander? Did we lose Commander?
No, no.
You
I'm
think? You
thinking.
think? Okay.
I'm thinking like
Think
one,
louder.
one because neutronium is not exactly my area of expertise. So, hmm.
There's no
Could-
amplification going on inside it. ELH, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
the amount of energy put in is greater than what it actually absorbed, maybe, or something. Or
It is definitely taking in more energy than it is admitting. Yes.
well,
I'm gonna.
that's interesting.
Can I cheat a little bit and use Mayweather's little suggestion, which is basically try to fire a negative ion flow at it to
Sure.
see what happens.
Yeah, I'm all for that sort of thing. So you fire a negative ion flow at it, and I'd like you to roll me a. My gut tells me an insight plus science. Even though it might actually need to be a reason, insight feels better for this.
I'll assist you.
And the difficulty here will be a 2.
So 2d20. Da, da. I don't have anything in focus on this, so dang.
What do you want me to take the lead, or are we allowed that?
I mean, as long as one of you is taking the lead and the other is assisting, I don't mind who does it.
Yeah, I'll do the assistance because you're the science, so you're going to have much better science than I am.
Science lab, after all.
Indeed. So I'll just be rolling a 1d20 against it.
Alrighty, LH, I'm having a problem. I'm hitting the insight button on the character sheet, but it's not popping up.
Alright, let me investigate myself.
Well, that's my failure.
Yeah, seems to be working for me.
Oh, there it is. It was hidden. Sorry.
That's okay. Hey, there you go. 2 successes. All
We
you
got
need.
there.
So, interestingly, when you basically send a inverse radiation at this chunk of neutronium, some form of wavelength or otherwise particle that is not quite the complete opposite of the radiation in Andromeda, but still somewhat close to it. You find that the neutronium actually begins to emit a greater amount of heat and, bleeding off that excess energy.
So it's basically purging the excess energy from it.
Correct.
Now that's interesting.
Yes, that's the way to obtain what's been stored.
Though I
What would
should
happen?
note, before you get any too crazy ideas, that it's not exactly the most efficient thing in the world. Um, Again, I don't really have any hard science numbers, but in my head, I was imagining it's something like a 30 to 1 ratio where you have to put in uh, the equivalent of 30 units of power of ion flow into the thing for it to transmit out 1.
Yes, but this is definitely a start, and I wonder what would happen to it if it had no stored energy and we start firing this at it.
We can try. Small amount.
Indeed, though, we better make sure that we have some stuff to keep ourselves safe if things start going really haywire.
Perhaps we should inform the first officer if other precautions need to be taken.
Yeah, even though I don't exactly like asking for additional assistance, I think this may be a time. We don't want to suddenly cause, I don't know, it to explode.
Okay. Lieutenant Merrick to Commander Morgan, could you come to the science lab for a discussion, please?
On my way.
And in short order, Commander Morgan, you show up in the science lab.
So we explain our observations and our thought on how to proceed next, so that way we don't have to explain it again.
So, you want to blow up the ship?
Look, it's not the smartest of ideas, but it's definitely in the name of science. And no, the ship isn't going to exactly explode. Maybe, probably.
Oh, so you're just going to blow up the science lab?
Do you have a safe place that we can do this aside from the science lab?
Nope. Which is why, against my better judgment, we're going to proceed with this anyway. I will notify all department heads, and I will make sure to set up emergency procedures in case of a failure.
So, Merrick, Morgan, have you both written your wills yet?
I don't know about you, Chief, but I plan to live forever.
I just raise an eyebrow.
I just give him just a little nod. Like, alright.
And about that time, back up on the bridge. Where's the bridge? There's the bridge. Yeah, you have to excuse me if I'm a little bit slow. I'm getting used to doing all this again. On the bridge, Captain Williams, you are in the middle of a discussion with Lieutenant Mayweather about the perfect way to bake a pie.
Hold on a second. Let me put this popcorn down, Mayweather, because you're going to make me get serious about this.
So my Nana said it's been passed down through the generations, though I'm not sure why they were busy trying to make pies, because from what I understand, during World War III and afterwards, flour was a little hard to come by if it wasn't already pre-stocked, since most of the wheat had died. But she says you have to roll it exactly 47 times. Otherwise, you don't get the crust as flaky as you want it. But, that's if you're making it from scratch, which, who doesn't do that?
Your grandmama's been on Risa too long.
So
I have a secret
Lieutenant
stash.
Lieutenant
I have a
Zombie
secret
behind you
stash
goes,
that has survived all the mishaps on Earth. It's something that's precious to me, and as actually they gave me a facsimile of it, so that way the real one can be kept with the rest of the family. But
I wouldn't trust any of that
I
genetically
have
engineered
the
wheat,
original
sir.
recipe.
I wouldn't trust any of that genetically engineered wheat that was invented by Khan Noonien Singh and his people that lasts that long. I'm just saying.
You hush. I'm telling you, the
Sir.
recipe that's in my in my family's vault, and the one I happen to have a copy of, so I can remind me of what good pie is supposed to be like, is right there on a 3x5 paper card in my office.
And
That is the best pie recipe ever.
And I suppose you
if we can get some
replicated
real
Washington apples and not the real thing.
No, it has to be done with the real thing to really count. You can't do it with replicated stuff.
And Zava just sort of speaks up from the back. Sir, we don't make pies on Ryza. Oh. She kind of looks down at her console. Sir, it's not anything important. But, I'm detecting something odd on sensors.
Put it up on screen. Anything to distract me from this conversation.
Well, it's not something I can really show on screen, sir. I'm just sort of seeing a distant, yet intense and localized pocket of radiation that's drifting through space. Should I bring up Lieutenant Merrick?
Yeah, go ahead and start an analysis. I'll call down for him.
Okay. So, she gets to work.
Wait till we get into the different pie cobbler debates. Then you'll hear something interesting.
Cobbler's not my forte. It's just pie. Anyway, I got some work to do, Merrick.
Yeah. So,
Captain to all duty stations. Senior staff to the bridge. Senior staff to the bridge.
Yeah. And, as everybody starts arriving on the bridge, Iha, just from your right, Captain, she just kind of comments and says, I've never had whatever this pie is, but apparently I'm guessing it's in Earth tradition. I don't really understand it. There's a lot of passion here.
Well, it's more of a regional thing.
I'll start a
It's normally served as a dessert unless it has vegetables and meat. And then it's called a quiche, which is more of a glorified omelet with a crust. But I guess technically it's not a pie because it's not fruit filled, but it has a crust, and that's served as a main dish. But
thank you for the encyclopedic knowledge, computer.
Oh Lord, yeah, Merrick, you're scanning. If you could roll me a reason plus science, difficulty here is going to be a 1, and the ship will be assisting with sensor science. So who's rolling for the ship?
Yeah, someone can roll for the ship.
I'm a roll for the ship.
Alright, well, there's the one success you need already. Does the ship give you any momentum? It does! Congrats, you have a momentum. So, Merrick, even though, the Adiona's got a very nice sensor suite on her, you aren't able to get concrete readings, either due to the nature of the object or simply because of the distance. What you are able to determine is that this intense pocket of radiation, it's about the size of a Constitution class, and it's putting off electromagnetic radiation that could suggest that it is a very small pulsar. Though if that's the case, and it is actually like a pulsing neutron star, aka pulsar, it would be one of the smallest ever encountered thus far by Starfleet.
Okay, I heard you thinking. Can I get an age?
Not at the moment, no.
Captain, it appears to be a very small pulsar star that's causing this intense small pocket of radiation. It is a bit unusual.
Clarify.
I am not certain. I'm trying to look at these scans a bit further.
Well, considering all the radiation we've been playing with, let me know if there's anything directional, so that way we can stay clear of it for the time being.
Well, pulsars usually give off like a pole of radiation, don't they, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Right, they shoot up and down, basically.
Off the
Yeah, out
Is
poles.
of
the
its
radiation?
poles. But
Is
remember,
it
we're in a completely new galaxy, so if there's any other radiation going on that makes it weird, I want to know so we can drive the ship around it.
right? Yep. And is this radiation similar to the Andromeda radiation that we've encountered before, or is it really very unique, or
I would say
relative to pulsars?
I would say it's unique in the fact that while it is still electromagnetic radiation that would be typical for a pulsar, something's off about it. And without spoiling the mystery, I would say that this is more a hunch that you're getting. Like, this is a gut feeling that it's just something's not right here.
Well, they usually go at frequencies, right? Is it
Mm-hmm.
like changing frequency or such? Or some kind of signal involved like that?
I would say it is more like, how do I want to say this? As you said, they usually come off the poles, the radiation, but this, either the object is spinning very quickly and pretty much randomly, or there's something more at play here than just a spinning ball of gas.
So something might be influencing the pulsar if it's spinning randomly. I take it it's not like spinning fast around an axis. The axis is changing direction.
Yeah, something about, sorry about that, I had a jet fly over. Something like that, but again, you would either have to get closer or otherwise, you'd have to do something, either reduce the distance or enhance the sensors to get more information.
Captain, it seems to have an anomalous spin or rotation of the axis. I suggest we get a little bit closer for more detailed scans.
Alrighty.
And I look for a safe distance to recommend.
Okay.
All right. I'll turn to Iha and it's like, Iha, does this match with anything you've seen on a regular basis in your star system, or is this a bit unusual as far as you can see?
No, this is first time I've ever seen anything like this. And Merrick, you have a wide variety of options as far as safe distance. We'll say right now you guys are maybe about 2 light years out from this object, whatever it is.
Primarily,
And-
it's just radiation effects I want to avoid.
Yeah.
We-
I would say you think you could get within 2 AU of the object and still be fine.
Okay. And I will then conduct additional scans as well as launch a probe.
Okay. So I guess
All right,
the question is how close do you guys want to get?
I'll make the recommendation of at least 2 AU away.
All right. Let's set it to 4 AU and go in yellow alert. Once we arrive in, once we're at our set distance.
Alrighty. Yep, another jet
Meanwhile, I'll
along.
do the 1MC and say, crew, this is the captain. We got a new science object. If you're asleep, wake all the nerds. We got work to do. That is all.
Should I conduct an additional scan?
Once
G-
once you can get some more resolution, by all means, the sensors are yours.
ELH, can I have an additional roll then, or?
We're gonna do it as you get closer. And again,
Okay.
apparently it's jet hour, so if I go quiet, you know why. Yeah. Not to speed anything along, but we'll skip ahead a little bit. So eventually, you guys drop out of warp at the aforementioned 4 AU distance. And Merrick, you run another sensor scan, and you're still having trouble getting any concrete data back. But this time you're able to confirm a couple things. The first is that the object is outright reflecting or straight up absorbing standard scanning methods. In addition, you are able to put it up on the view screen, but you're not really sure what it is you're seeing until you would zoom in on the object.
I zoom in on the object.
All right. So, as the view screen zooms in and enhances several times, all of you on the bridge are now looking at what appears to be quite the oddity. It is what appears to be a starship of some sort. It's over about 300 meters long, 120 meters wide, and 75 meters tall. The configuration doesn't appear to match against any that Federation has on hand, and Iha even looks at it and says, "Yeah, I got no idea what the hell that is." And I have a handout here somewhere. Let's see. All right, hold on.
And I'll just comment that scans seem to be absorbed or being reflected back from this field still, Captain.
Once we have the ability to determine how old that ship, I'd like to check for life signs.
Yeah. All right. So there is your handout. That is the ship you're looking at there. It didn't split nicely for the stream, but I think they'll get the idea. So that's the ship you're looking at. And strangely, it doesn't seem to have warp engines. What you're seeing in the back are impulse engines. In fact, it doesn't really seem to have anything that would suggest faster than light travel. And at this point, Merrick, if you actually want to roll your next sensor scan, the difficulty here will be a 3.
Okay, and we're going for life signs as well.
I'll say you
And
can include that as part of the scan, yes.
And power specifically from the ship, besides what might be emanating from it or around it. And one question I have that we might be able to observe already is the ship spinning out of control as well?
I will answer the latter without a roll. No, the ship just sort of lists through space. But not in a manner that would suggest it doesn't have attitude control, or whatever the actual term is. It's just sort of moseying on through space as if it didn't have a care in the world.
Okay, that's interesting. All right, I'll do the roll.
Okay.
GM, is the ship illuminated the way it's suggested in the picture?
It is indeed.
Use 1 momentum. Insight or reason?
I would say this is going to be reason. All right, so 2 successes from Merrick. We need the ship to roll.
And I can re-roll 1 because of cautious science.
Okay. Well, let's see what the ship is, because the ship could very well get a complication.
Right.
Who's rolling for the ship? Yep, guess I am.
Yeah, I was going to say, I guess you just volunteered.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, what's the number again?
Sensor science.
What sensor science?
All right. Well, there's 3 successes you need. Let's see if all right, so you guys get that momentum right back. So, kind of good news, bad news, neutral news, however you want to take it. First thing you notice is that the faint power readings you're getting past the neutronium alloy hull implies that this ship is powered by a tetryon reactor. To date, that would mean that this is the 3rd such reactor that Starfleet has encountered. The first of which would be the Caretaker's Array, and the second a Graviton Catapult, both of which were encountered by Voyager in their time in the Delta Quadrant. In any event, you're not picking up any life signs or hell any sign that the ship is responding to your presence here. The hull is again made of some sort of neutronium alloy, and it's putting off an awful lot of radiation, but it's nothing your deflectors and shields can't handle at this distance.
No obvious signs of damage visibly.
No, seems to be immaculate. There's not really anything out of place. It looks very pristine.
As I would expect from a neutronium ship.
Mm-hmm.
Could it be, as we just experimented, just bleeding off energy?
It's a possibility.
Is there any way that we could use our prior experiment to at least better assess damage? Because since it's made out of neutronium, if there were ever was going to be damaged in any sort of way, then we probably wouldn't be able to see it with the normal scans we've been taking. So can we use that knowledge to do, I don't know, possibly like an extended investigation to see if anything has ever impacted the ship?
I only got about half of that last bit. Get a little bit closer to your microphone if you can.
My bad. Long story short, I was wondering if we could use our previous experiment to better tune our sensors to see if anything has ever impacted this ship before, since now we kind of know how to make a dent in neutronium. If there was ever going to be any hull damage that the ship has ever taken, we probably wouldn't be able to see it in a normal resolution scan.
Right. I would say that's something you can work on, but in order to set up the inverse ion flow through the main sensor array or the main deflector dish, it will take some time to set that up.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I'm also thinking about another idea in that it's not absorbing power, right?
Nope.
Because we know that right now, this, at least from what we've seen in neutronium in this galaxy, it will absorb energy, and it can utilize that perhaps in its propulsion system. But now it seems to be bleeding off the energy. Is that a good assumption?
I won't say one way or the other, but it is an assumption.
Okay. Okay. So do we want to further dissipate the energy, Captain, Commander, as you just suggested?
Let's see here, because Commander, I think you haven't really shared a report with that science project yet, have you?
I'm sorry, say that again?
You haven't shared a report about that science project you guys are running, have you?
No, I have not, since it's still in progress.
Yeah, that's what
All we have are a bunch of theories, but I just wanted to see if we could take the knowledge that we use to identify how to, the more detailed properties of neutronium. That's all. Just making the ship's hull a little science experiment of our own, but nothing to damage it or to break it up. We just have markers not to know what we're looking for.
Permission to have Commander Havoc come to the bridge, and since it was her original idea.
I have no problem with that.
All right. So, Havoc,
Havoc, this is the captain. Please come to the bridge.
All right.
Out of character, she's going to love this. What, a whole ship of neutronium?
Yeah.
I get up there scratching my head and ask, what do you need?
I think the universe has provided you with a present.
Havoc out there.
Did we find a blown up Borg ship?
Nope, but we got an entire ship made out of neutronium.
Just as good.
So I wanted to float something by you. So what if we instead, just to better identify what is going on with this ship, we use the shuttles in replacement of our own deflector dish being better able to take higher resolution scans with the same method we were using in the science lab.
Are we sure that this ship is inactive, as in it won't start trying to shoot us if we get too close?
I guess there's only one way to find out, isn't there?
Point of order. I'm going to suggest something else because I don't want you guys burning my shell. Modify
We
a
got
probe.
two of them.
Modify a probe, and then also try gutting one of the torpedoes so you can make one of Havoc's hammers, so to speak. Just had it slow down to something like 300 kps, so that way it can make a collision without blowing up.
I only suggested the shuttle because, out of character, GM, you said, what part of our ship would be specifically able to modify the inverse ion flow?
The deflector.
So I don't necessarily think the probe may be too weak, but I guess that's the question that I got.
Yeah, the probe was probably too weak, but it might confirm that it would work, and then we could go to a larger scale.
Right, just remember the ballpark of 30 to 1 is the crucial power ratio here.
Well, I suppose it's your call, Captain. I'm giving my suggestion.
Yeah, I'd like to stage it up little by little. There's no telling what will happen with this ship if we all of a sudden we start scanning with something a little bit more powerful. Let's start small and go up from there. Morgan, I'll let you take the lead on this one if you want to supervise this little operation.
Sure.
I tap the ground with my foot to get a little attention and ask, have we tried making communications with the ship first?
They haven't seemed to take notice of it or our scans so far.
Yeah, but still, we should try to hail it before we actually try to do anything to their hull or put anything closer to it. Alrighty, run it through the universal translator, all frequencies. Let's see if we get a response.
Alright, so Zava does just that from behind you and kind of waits a moment and then says, well, either they're ignoring us or they just don't feel like answering. Of course, it's hard to tell if they've actually received us, but I'm pretty damn sure we are transmitting, Captain.
What size is the vessel again? Can you remind us?
It is the same size as a Constitution class, so in game mechanics, it is a Scale 4 vessel.
Sizable crew.
Potentially.
We could at least have the probe try to make contact with anybody on board. If it's too weak to develop our experiment.
I would pretend. Yeah, I see no issue with that.
Okay, so we'll ready. I had ready to probe. Can we maneuver it in? Give it enough shielding and maneuver it in so it's close enough to the ship to get some good scans and go from there?
Yeah, we'll say that you're able to launch a probe and you can get it pretty close. The problem is that as you get closer, the radiation obviously increases in intensity, and by the time the probe is, close enough to make a difference, the radiation interference just cancels out that benefit.
So the communications is all washed out, or the probe got fried?
The probe is on the verge of frying.
Looks like it's going to need some shields.
Or we need to launch a vessel that has shields.
Yeah, exactly. Alrighty, I'll surrender to Type 9.
Thank you.
Don't we have two of them now?
We do. But
Wait, I thought it was a Type 9 and a fighter that we had.
Initially, yeah, you guys had just the one Type 9 and the Valkyrie class.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You
time
got
travel.
Yeah, time travel.
Wobbly
GM
wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
GM question: how does Galen's being hold up to radiation?
I don't know. You'd have to ask him.
Well, I mean, the emergency science hologram was within the neutron star radiation for quite a while, right, on a dead shuttle.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if Galen could handle it. So can we ask Galen, Commander?
Well, you pretty should be able to just look up his stats and see.
Well, no one knows Galen probably better than Galen. At the same time, we should ask nonetheless. Commander Morgan to Galen, please respond.
Galen here. How may I help you?
Beam up to the bridge, Doc. We got some stuff we need to talk about.
One moment. And Galen will materialize on the bridge.
Boop.
So once he gets there, I explain briefly and ask him, do you think you would be able to handle this radiation similar to your science counterpart from the future?
Should be able to. I'd like just some precautionaries put into the armband just in case if I suffer systems failure. There is some redundancy to make sure I don't blink out of existence.
Do you think we should save a copy for you in cold storage in here, just in case there's any corruption we need to correct?
Previous copying of my matrix has resulted in me becoming just an EMH. Personality that I am doesn't make it.
Well, I mean your core programming, not so much your active memory since then.
Core program will stay aboard the ship. There is also an EMH. I would just prefer some extra shielding.
Yeah, you can have whatever you need, Doc.
Excellent.
What? In that case, I suppose you should go with Mari to make the necessary modifications to your armband.
And Galen, I hand you a note, a pad, basically explaining what we had done in the lab, what we have observed so far from sensors. That way, if I know that you can change your programming, so if you wish to do so, you have a little bit of background now.
Interesting. Well, I will meet you in the holographic adjustment room. Any changes to the holometers I have.
Also, guys, make use of Shuttle 1. Since Shuttle 2 is the one that went through timey-wimey, let's make sure we get some clear results that can't be written off for, chronoton interference.
Okay. So,
Time is an
go
old
ahead.
wives' tale.
Say again?
I was just making a joke that that's just an old wives' tale with all with chronotons and time travel superstitions.
Don't let the Temporal Investigations Committee hear you say that. All right. So Havoc and Galen, you guys abscond from the bridge to go work on Galen's armband. As they depart, Mayweather, not to leave you out, I would like you to roll me a Insight plus Con test at a difficulty of 1.
Insight and con.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering if his pilot abilities will be needed to skirt the randomness of the radiation around there.
I'll say it now. I plan to take him as a member of the away team.
It's not letting me select it. I can highlight. Select.
Mine got hidden, so you might have to look.
Yeah, double-click on your borders to hide those windows.
Oh, there we go. Helm operation or astronavigation?
Astronavigation for sure. Hey, look at that. You get 2 momentum, which brings you to 3, I believe. So, Mayweather, you being the probably ship most expert in astronavigation, you realize a couple things. The first is that if you were to trace back or attempt to trace back where this vessel came from, you're not detecting anything along a projected course that would suggest a civilized or otherwise inhabited world. You're also able to determine that at its current course and speed, it will eventually collide with a star in approximately a month.
Captain, course and heading suggests this ship is on a collision course with a star in about 30 days.
Lovely. And we're still not getting any response to hails.
What type of star is it going to be colliding with?
It is a... God, what type is Sol? It's a Sol-like star.
To
Type G.
medium. Alrighty, let's see. Well, it's not responding to hails. Can we at least get a accurate scan of the outer hull, see what's going on with features and such?
Yeah. I'm just curious what features you're looking for in particular.
Markings, weapons, docking, so on and so forth.
Okay, yeah.
Get the front
so-
side, and the top side rear scan type thing.
Yeah. So if you zoom in on the picture, and I'll put it up again on stream for everyone to look at. So if you look very closely, you will see that there are sort of defensive turrets on the upper, what is that, the dorsal section of the vessel. You'll also notice that there are unpowered shield generators there as well. Might be somewhat strange that a neutronium vessel needs shields, but, you know. The other thing you'll notice, as is pointed out, there are 3 hangar openings, one of which is currently unpowered. So it is possible, conceivably, to fly right into the ship if you were so inclined.
Is it obvious if there's any shuttlecraft in the open sections in the hull?
I would say no.
Okay. Let's see if we can get any sort of an automated response from this. Instead of broadcasting standard communication, let's go to data and see what we can get from this thing while these guys are working on their science experiment. Of course, we'll cease when they get started, so that way we're only getting what we're looking for them.
Okay. So Zava, starts transmitting, I guess you would call it the sniff test of data. Basically throwing intelligence signals, things that would normally be picked up and recognized as coming from an intelligent source rather than, say, background radiation. Mm-hmm. But, after, we'll say 5-10 minutes of this, she just kind of shrugs and says, yeah, still nothing, Captain.
Alrighty. Looks like we're waiting on the shuttle to see if it's safe to get near this thing before it can really do anything else.
Any markings on the hull?
There are some markings, but you're not sure if they're ornamental or if they actually are a language of some sort. At least the universal translator is not trying to translate them at the moment.
Do we have any sort of any sort of specialist on board that necessarily can make an inference on that, at least when it comes to the symbols?
I think offhand, Mayweather I know has cultural studies. That's kind of one of his major things. I think your next best bet is going to be Anari. Yeah, Inari would be your next best bet.
Which reminds me, I needed to make more supporting characters, which I keep forgetting to do.
Yeah, looking at Inari, it's either going to be her or Mayweather you're going to want to ask that sort of question.
Who's the engineer that we played one time? I played him.
Might be Kessel.
I think he has linguistics. And he's does he have beta Z or something like that?
He is a Betazoid, and he is specialized in the linguistics of binars.
Okay.
Well, I suppose I'll ask Mayweather. I mean, he is on the bridge right at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
So, make your best inference. What do you think these symbols could possibly mean? How do you interpret them? Are they signs for war? Are they signs for just a faction or a tribe?
Since con deals with shit, insight and con, or insight and science.
I'll let it be con. And of course, you do have a focus. Yeah, so 2 successes is all you need. Sorry, I probably should have said that beforehand, but hey, 2 successes is all you need. Couple things occur to you, Mayweather. First is, while it does obviously have defensive weaponry and defensive capabilities, it's not really built like a warship. And by that I mean it's not really, at least based on what you're seeing on your limited sensor data, you're not seeing a whole lot of energy being devoted to, weaponry. And the firing arcs of the weapons, at least that you're guessing, wouldn't cover the whole vessel. And just based on the size of the vessel, I mean, obviously you'd have to go inside and investigate yourself, but this could very well be a scientific craft, if not a scout ship. It's just hard to tell based on external hull markings alone.
The ship seems to be more of a exploratory vessel with defensive weapons as opposed to a Toph warship.
Possibly experimental.
With something of this size, I kind of find it hard to believe it's experimental. But the possibility still exists.
No missing life pods, as it were.
No, you're not detecting anything that would suggest that.
Any trails of, like we would think it is warp signatures or such, but any trails leading up to this point or from this point?
Nope.
That we might be able to. So it just like appears, basically.
Yeah, it just seems to be sitting there.
Okay.
And its speed is, in relation to our full impulse, is it like even going remotely what we would consider impulse, or it's going really, really slow, as in, what our space shuttle goes?
I would say it's going at about 1/8 impulse.
What if something happened and they're heading home, and this is like they're in some sort of stasis, assuming they're alive at all. So if they don't have faster than light or something's wrong with their faster than light, they're not intending to crash into this star, but if it's taken enough time as the galaxy rotates, this star is just now in its way, assuming that's the destination they set.
Mayweather, that earlier calculation you made, are they going to go into the star or just miss it in slingshot?
They're on a collision course at current time, but that's within a month. If assuming we or something else doesn't nudge them out of the way of the star.
Alrighty then. So we'll assume this ship is in distress. Uh, let's hustle with the experiment so that way we can figure out if we need to go on board this thing or not. If there are people on board that need help and can't answer, then let's be good Samaritans about it and at least try and offer an assistance.
Alrighty.
But I did hear earlier that there was a shuttle bay open.
Yes.
Is there-
If you look at the handout, it's on the side of the vessel. It's those blue things, right where it shows hangar openings. Same kind of thing.
And there's windows and also general, what do we want to call it? Just portals. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'll-
I would say
Winders.
it's through those portals that you're even able to get readings at all, because normally a neutronium hull would mean nothing, but
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, if we can get on board this thing and there's nobody there, it would be good to be able to harvest a piece of the hull.
Well, that would be nice, but one thing at a time.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely,
exactly.
of course.
Alright,
So,
so
Does
get
that
the
sound
lid out, Commander.
fantastic? Well, that sounds like an authorization of an away mission to me.
So,
So,
Captain writes in his log, dibs.
well, I guess I gotta go assemble an away team, man.
yeah.
All right then. Well, I
So-
suppose
Who would you be bringing on your away team?
if I
As
didn't
I
bring
try to find my Type 9 shuttle.
bring Havoc, I probably will never hear the end of it. So that seems like a requirement. Of course,
You never will.
the Doctor is going along because it seems like once the modifications are complete, and based on prior experience, that if anything goes wrong or anybody needs medical attention, of course, he has the best chance of possibly surviving in whatever scenario that we're going to.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like Mayweather to come along to be able to pilot the shuttle. Also, I mean, it is whatever flight data we find on board the ship is something that he'd probably be best to interpret, since they are on a collision course with the star. I want to know where this thing came from.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to ask Merritt if they want to come along. And if not, but I'd primarily like to request them to keep working on an experiment in the lab.
If Galen can cover, my fields of science with his programming, that would be great.
Galen's full focuses is genetic engineering, surgery, xenobiology, biology, cybernetics, and anatomy. His alternate subroutines he can activate are already predetermined 3: hull specialist, psychology, and micro and macrobiology.
Well, we have the option of the emergency science officer,
Which is
maybe.
what I was going to suggest. And if you're coming along, then I'd like the emergency science officer to continue the experiment with the data that we've already have on the ship's computers.
Either or, your choice.
He did get reset.
True, but he's still capable. So I'm gonna say the science officer gets to stay on the ship while you come along. I'd also like. Well, this is a packed away. This is a packed away team. I'd also like one security officer.
All right. Well, Captain, since it is going to be your character for this mission, which tactical officer would you like to bring?
Give me a second here. Do we have any secondaries prepared for tactics?
You could always take Zava if you were so inclined. There's also Ensign Smith. Ensign Smith is your bog standard red shirt.
Oh,
I
it
guess
has CSO on it, so I wasn't sure. It's like, wait a minute, that's not just a standard. Yeah, so yeah, I'll take Smith.
Alrighty, so you're taking Smith.
Would you like to play the emergency science officer? Because I'm wondering if we need a cultural expert. If we have to do reading.
I'll fix Smith's token later.
Mayweather, it was just cultural studies, was it? Or what was this focus?
Yeah, I have cultural studies.
I think I'll be fine.
Yep, sounds good.
It's so stacked with senior staff only because of the experiments that we've been doing. We're the best people on the ship that at least know what we're looking for. So that's why so many senior staff are coming along.
All right. So, you all pile on into the shuttle. As you can see on the map, it is jam-packed in there. You are probably flying at capacity. Well, I mean,
One suggestion.
Yes.
At least one EVH suit.
okay.
Because I do see a bulkhead here, right? We could at least get one person out.
Yeah, would be simple enough to do so. I mean, obviously, there's no way you're getting suits for everyone, but a single suit, yeah, you could manage that. All right.
Yeah, the Adiona is going to go stay at yellow alert once they leave, so
Okay.
shields are up.
So, you all pile into the shuttle. Mayweather, you guide it on out into space, and my question becomes, how would you like to approach this vessel? Would you like to just sort of, directly fly up to the open shuttle bay? Do you want to take a more circuitous route? How do you want to approach this?
I am going to look at Commander Morgan.
Well, Commander Morgan wants to get. Let's see if I want to fill in if there's any missing sensor data from our ship first. I'd like to tour the ship around, so I want to make a large sweep, and then I'd like to take a secure route.
Okay. I will. Do you want a couple of passes or just a quick scan?
I think 2 passes will be good enough.
Okay. I'll fly over and above and then below it as a pass, and then do just a horizontal kind of circle.
And I'll look over Commander Morgan's shoulder and make sure we're not hitting a nasty zone of radiation.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I knew I forgot to say something important. Galen, before all this happens, you do need to hand out a combination of lectrazine and hydronolin to those who are not holograms. You know that while you're in the shuttle or on the Adiona, the radiation's not a problem, but once inside the vessel, it could very well be like standing in a microwave. So your best guess as an operational time is about 2 hours. I mean, you personally can probably stay a lot longer than that, but for the fleshy people, they probably are risking radiation sickness, if not outright poisoning, longer than 2 hours.
I'd probably give them all a shot the moment we get into the shuttle, so the moment they pilot in, I'm giving them the shots.
Okay. Sorry, I should have mentioned that beforehand, but glad I remembered.
I was actually thinking about it.
We haven't actually gained any momentum since that last time, right? It's pretty much been used.
You're at 2 at the moment.
Alrighty.
And that's accounting for the scene change. Alright, well, let's let this jet fly over. Apparently they are doing night ops always when I start my session, so give me a moment. Well, Havoc, you missed the jet flying over my house and buzzing my windows because, it's 9 o'clock at night and that's what you do. But you didn't miss much. Just Galen handing out some anti-radiation poisoning and sickness type drugs. Your time on the vessel once you're aboard is probably about 2 hours at best. But yeah, so Mayweather, you do a pass, you do a second pass, and nothing happens. No extra signals coming from the ship. No weapons start training on you. Just seems to be sitting there.
We're also trying to get any additional scans.
Yeah, I would say at this point, you've gotten all the scans you're gonna get from the external perspective.
Yep.
Um,
Okay.
you can certainly still confirm what you found out initially, that there is a Tetrion reactor powering the vessel, but other than sort of major things like that, you're not getting anything.
Well, the only focus I would have had would be life science.
Yeah, and life signs would definitely be dampened by the hull.
All right then. Well, if that's all that we could get from out here, take us in, Mayweather.
All right.
I'll go to the first available port then. Unless you just want me to fly in that hole.
If there are no guns teamed at us, then yes.
Okay. I head for the open hole area.
All right. No, there's another jet. Hold on. I always love that, the last 3 nights, they haven't done a damn thing. But, yeah. All right, so you head into the bay, and immediately you're surrounded by alien architecture. If I had to try and qualify it, it is a... I guess you would call it a... What's the word I had on the tip of my tongue? You know how Starfleet designs are all very sleek, and the interiors are all made of those nice paneling, and it looks very presentable.
Yeah, teak wood.
This is more of a Klingon type design in that the corridors are very. I hesitate to use the word Spartan because you're seeing conduits, you're seeing equipment.
Functional.
Yeah, it's very functional. It's very easy to get in or out of or not, like it's very easy to access the systems. It's not like on the Adiona where in order to get to an EPS conduit you have to pull off a whole section of the wall or go crawling through Jeffrey's tubes. It's all very accessible. And when you come into the bay and you settle down, immediately behind you, the force field that would seemingly hold in atmosphere flickers to life, and a atmospheric system begins to pour in a Class M breathable atmosphere.
Any other systems come into life?
Uh, let's see. Not that you're detecting. And I would say that you're not able to get a clear connection back to the Adiona, but it is still possible at the current moment where you are.
But we tripped a sensor somewhere. Or some
Somewhere,
kind of,
yeah.
So I'm trying to find that, as it were.
I would say it's probably a safe bet that this is, as you guessed, an automated system. That, it was just waiting for something to fly in, and then, it activates and sort of sets up the atmosphere.
Seems we were expected, Commander.
Well, then, in that case, I wouldn't want to disappoint.
Right. So I guess the operative question here is, do you send Galen out first, or do you all just sort of leave the shuttle behind?
I'll step out with Galen.
Okay. So I'll preemptively
Wow.
put us on this map.
Oh, I was going to say, it looks like our ship.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, you
Oh,
find
my.
yourselves back on your own ship somehow now. So yeah, that's kind of what you're looking at here. As you step out, that's the general feel of the ship. And I have a little bit to read. Where is it? There it is. So, you step out into the shuttle bay, and again, the walls are not smooth. They're broken up by equipment and crates of unknown contents. Illumination is provided by small spotlights set every so often into the ceiling. The air will taste somewhat strangely to you, Morgan. It sort of has an ashen aftertaste, but it's still breathable. You're not having any trouble breathing and surviving. And you're also seeing that the ceiling is much higher than on a Starfleet vessel. I would say it is, instead of the standard 8 or 9 feet, it is more like 11 or 12.
How tall are the openings and passageways?
Same thing. They are also very tall.
Okay. Do I see any panels?
What sort of panel are you after?
A computer panel.
There does appear to be glowing runes of some sort on bits of equipment, but you're not seeing anything that would be I would say, a quote-unquote typical computer access point.
I will meander on over and look to the commander. And it's like, just in case I pull the wrong one, do you want to step inside the shuttle? I don't want to accidentally vent the atmosphere and you along with it.
By all means, Doc, and do what you gotta do. But we just got here, so I want to make sure it stays this way. And I step back inside.
I am going to... Are there color codes to the ruins?
There are. Most of them are in a light neon blue, but you're also seeing some yellows as well.
I'm going to touch one blue and one yellow. I want to see what happens.
Whole lot of nothing, actually.
I'm going to poke all the yellow.
Okay. So it's a good thing you had Morgan step back inside, because when you start poking the yellow, the force field drops and Atmo vents.
I'm just standing there like, right. I'll poke... which yellow did I poke?
We'll say second on the right.
Okay, I will make sure to note that. So I only got to the second on the right before it all vented, so I'm guessing I stopped then.
Mm-hmm.
I'd continue to poke the rest of the yellow.
Okay. Nothing else seems to happen. Your best guess, and a kind of, as I form it in my head, so if you want to imagine a sort of a crescent shape of symbols, there's 3 light blue on the left and 3 yellows on the right, and the third yellow doesn't seem to be doing anything.
Okay. I'll go to the blue on the left.
Mm-hmm.
I'll try the second blue from the right.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, the force field comes back online, atmosphere begins pouring back in.
Alright. And I poke the other 2 blue.
The third one will cause one of the doorways nearest you to open.
Alright. I'll raise the commander. Galen to Commander Morgan.
Morgan here. What's up, Doc?
Well, I found out that my concern was correct. I now know which symbol vents atmosphere. But I also managed to open a door. If you're okay with it, I would like to proceed just a little further ahead.
I appreciate it. Go ahead.
If it's clear, I'll call forward for the rest of you then.
By all means, I am entertained with your inductive reasoning. Proceed.
Very well. And I'll go down the... actually, does that third yellow one, that one that didn't do anything, does it change? Since the
It
door
actually deilluminates when this process is done.
Interesting. I will go through the door.
All right. So you find yourself in a well-lit corridor. Pretty much same thing, same sort of equipment breaking up of the walls. But I would say about halfway down this corridor, you're seeing what appears to be a chunk of metal, and it is vaguely shaped like a breastplate. Some sort of old armor of some sort back on Earth.
How big is it compared to me?
I would say it is about 1.5 times your size.
I'm going to open up comms with the shuttle so they hear everything I'm saying,
Okay.
and I will be describing what I'm seeing and what I just came across. I'm also going to scan the atmosphere for any bacteria, foreign bacteria, and anything that's unknown.
Okay. Roll me a reason plus medicine. Difficulty here's a 2.
It does not like being touched today. Come on. There we go. Xenobiology as a focus?
Yeah.
Ooh. 20.
Not detecting any problems.
Alright. Hmm.
So, I'm going to just comms back to the doctor and just ask, is it clear to proceed?
As far as my readings indicate, yes.
All right, then. Well, I motioned to everybody else on the shuttle and said, it's time to get off.
In usual Mari fashion, I'm already exiting the door by the time he says that. I am way too impatient to not just be like, let's get this over with. Come on.
All right. So,
For the symbol for opening the door and venting the atmosphere, I remember what those are, correct?
oh yeah.
Excellent.
But yeah, you all step off the shuttle and join your lovely doctor in the hallway.
Smith takes the lead in front of the others.
Understandable.
Are the
Go
walls
ahead.
neutronium?
The walls are not appearing to be made of neutronium. I mean, obviously there's support structure that is made of neutronium, but for the most part, it seems to be made out of a lighter material.
Begin tricorder scans.
Okay.
Limited range, I suppose, but we'll see what we pick up. Power systems, life signs.
All right. Go ahead and roll me a reason science, difficulty 2.
Not sure if I have a focus specific to this. Does this count as sensor systems?
I'll let it happen. All right, so you get a momentum. Merrick, you're not detecting any life signs. However, you are getting much greater sensor resolution and distance now that you're inside the vessel. I would think that you're able to get a general map of the area, and you're starting to get a feel for the overall layout of the ship. Mayweather would probably be the best to figure out, how to get certain places. But in general, you're just sort of seeing that the ship is sort of self-regulating.
I'll confer with Lieutenant Commander Havoc and Lieutenant Mayweather about the layout. Where would main engineering be, the bridge, etc.
Okay. So as the three of you work that out, I'm curious, are any of you going to do anything with the chunk of metal that's in the hallway?
I'm going to scan for DNA.
Okay. So that's going to be we'll say a reason plus medicine, and we'll still keep it at a difficulty 2.
Xenobiology.
Yep.
Oof.
Yeah, a whole lot of
And he-
20s tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not detecting anything that would suggest a DNA-based life form.
I'm sorry, maybe I missed this prior, but did we determine what type of material this armor piece is made out of?
Well, if you begin poking at it, I can just tell you that.
Wonderful. Let's go do such a thing.
All right.
Let's go scan it.
Oak.
Yeah. So, Doctor, as you're doing your scans and you're approaching it from a medical perspective, everybody else is approaching it from a metallurgical and otherwise science perspective, and you're able to determine that this breastplate type thing is made out of a lighter neutronium alloy than the hull of the vessel. So it is quite resistant to damage, but it's probably not as strong or nearly as heavy and dense as the hull is. And also, you are detecting the same amount of radiation. Well, not the same amount per se, the same type of radiation transmission that is coming from the hull of the vessel. It's also coming from this chunk.
Doctor, was this dropped here? Or was it inhabited?
I find no traces of DNA upon it, so it could have been dropped. Or this vessel has been sitting for so long that any traces of DNA have decomposed.
How about I'm gonna turn to our to Ensign Smith, and I'm just going to say, well, give me a tactical analysis of the current room that we're in. Is there anything out of place, potentially something overturned for such a thing to just be left here?
Well, the room is pretty gutted. I wouldn't think this one object would be here. If people were in a rush, there'd be a lot more here. If associating the size of the ship with how many crew would be on board.
It's a large breastplate, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to make a
Suggestion.
precautionary peek into the other rooms before we advance.
Sure. And Smith, when you poke your head into these other rooms, these other branching off corridors, you're beginning to see more chunks of the same type of material and in the same similar shape. I would say in all, you're now starting to see a total of about 3 or 4.
And I assume we see the symbols on the control pad.
Yeah, so you're seeing more of the blue and yellow symbology. Still not enough for the universal translator to quite work out what it means, but rest assured it is running.
Yeah, that's all I was going to say is just start recording different symbols as we come across them.
Well, in any case, I think we found all we could here. We should continue to proceed.
Roger that, sir.
All right. And tell you what, I think this is a good place to take a break for you guys to figure out where you want to go from here. So let's do no later than 9:35.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
BRB. And I am going to put some music on in Roll20, so apologies if it gets too loud, but I think I've got it tuned properly. And hopefully it doesn't get copyright dinged, but I guess we'll find out. All right, BRB.
Captain, you there?
I am.
So, again, you never would try a plant-based burger at all.
No, I'm just saying that to fuck with you.
Yeah, I know. I know, but I'm just curious.
No, I'd try it, but you know.
Because it's like that. I'm just curious. That's all.
Alright, I muted myself for the stream at least. Thank you to anyone who might be out there watching, either right now on Twitch or later on YouTube. Hopefully you're having a good time. Just as a reminder, if you are using Twitch Prime, you do have to renew your free subscription to whatever channel you've used it on every month. It's dumb, but what can you do? Also, if you are ever gifted a sub through the rest of September, you can, I think, roll that over into an actual sub for like $1. It's actually pretty nice. I think that's all I really have to say for you guys. So, again, hopefully you're having a good time, and I'll mute myself for the rest of the guys. Alright, I'm back. The question is, am I the only one here?
Helps if I click unmute.
Yeah, I consciously made an effort to give you more speaking time, Mayweather, so hopefully it's enough, but again, if it's not, just feel free to tell me.
So since we're in the middle of the game, I'm not going to check the wiki, but
Mhm.
is there, like, for the jukebox, can you upload your own songs, or are they predetermined, or...
So, I can upload them to Fanburst, but I'm deliberately using one of their royalty-free, pre-uploaded music. And
Makes sense.
I'm hoping that, it's not one of those royalty-free where they say it is, and then later on when you upload it, it's like, oh, nope, it's not royalty-free. But I guess we'll find out. I'm pretty sure YouTube won't mute it, but who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause
because
I know
otherwise... Oh, go ahead.
I found one it just says it's free for bridge noises, but I was trying to find actual TOS bridge noises.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know,
that I could throw up on a YouTube video. But I probably should make a note of this to play with my volume settings, because I haven't quite figured out how to split my audio in a way that I like. But if I can figure out a way so that there's like a separate channel for music and I can find royalty-free stuff, I will definitely put some stuff in there.
Yeah, because I was reading something, but I know the wiki's out of date because I have Spotify, and it was like, oh, I could maybe find some stuff, and if you could somehow play, but other than that, it was just like, because I had players, since I'm not broadcasting, it was like, they have generic bridge sounds, but they wanted, since the stuff is available out there for all the different sound effects, because they had a kick out of, they did scans with a tricorder, and I used my tricorder handouts and just showed it to a player, and they just, instead of me having to read the exposition, they had the handout and read it as like they were reading the tricorder, and then when they said they were going to show it to everyone, I just made it so they could show it to everyone and they could read it, and they had fun with that, and they were just wondering, could I give them like the tricorder sound and that kind of stuff? And it was just what I was like, well, it's our first stuff, so I haven't got into that, but it was one of those things that didn't know if that's something you can do with the jukebox, or is that just just the way Roll20 doesn't work.
No, you can definitely do it, because I know there's, at least for pro subscribers, which means since I'm one, everyone else in the game should be able to do it. There's ways that you can play a sound or a GIF or or GIF, whatever you want to say it.
Yeah.
You can play it when you do a roll or do something with chat. And honestly, what you suggested, actually putting the information on a pad, like a handout, and, letting the players read that out. I've had mixed success with it. In the past, I used to do it that way, but it led to players hoarding information. And while that sort of made sense for their characters, I found it didn't make for a very entertaining stream or overall game, because people were just like, so you're going to tell us? And the players were like, nope. And I'm just sitting there like, all right, I'll be here.
This was, I ran a rescue at Xerxes 4, and we just set it in the 23rd century, and it was kind of funny because she was moving, our doctor couldn't make this session, so the security character was filling in, and she was making all the science rolls, and it was kind of funny because if you're familiar with that adventure, when they got to the ravine, the engineer had to try to cross. Well, she has advisor, so all the momentum she built up, she was spinning it left and right, using a point here so everyone could cross that ravine using her security and the survival focus that she had. And it was just weird that she's got this 5 security focus, and she was just racking up more momentum to keep spending for them to do that kind of stuff. So it was kind of funny that she did her job, but it was just kind of funny that the science people were doing tricorders, but you tell them to do anything fitness and security related, they're like, "What?"
Yeah, that is one of the weaknesses of the Xerxes 4 mission, in my opinion, but what can you do? Alright, well, we are at our time. Is everyone back yet?
I'm back.
Cameras on station.
I'm here.
Okay, the only one I saw didn't see light up was Morgan. Are you here, Morgan?
No, I am not.
Okay, cool. Alright, let me kill the music, get rid of the BRB on the screen. Alright. No, go away, BRB. There we go. Okay, so I will say at this point, you guys have a vague idea of where engineering is, where the bridge is, and possibly where the computer core itself is. So where would you like to head?
I suggest we find out who the ship belongs to and what trouble they may have encountered.
I
If we
agree.
can, the bridge.
Small question.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any ports around here, like connection ports?
So, like data terminals or like things you could look out of?
Data terminals.
Not that you're seeing, no.
Anything like that would probably be on the bridge.
Yeah, if we can get on the bridge, maybe being mostly robot might be helpful.
Bridge crew adventures. Let's go.
Yep. All right, so you begin heading up the hallway. We'll say led by Mayweather, since it would be in Mayweather's purview to pretty much, I would think, not only know the way or at least guesstimate the way.
Actually, I should be in front with him right behind me. The last thing we need is our only pilot getting a shot.
Okay, fair enough.
I look at Smith's hand. Is it on his phaser?
Smith, you're a pilot yourself, so you're my backup, so don't worry about it.
Hey, whatever. It's your call, man.
I'll follow you because I need my hand on my tricorder as I'm using the map that Merritt got, so to navigate.
All right, so I proceed in quick draw, not with my phaser pulled.
Okay.
And I guess we make any note of any additional terminals that we may come across, symbols and things, and decide if the doctor wants to play.
Okay. So you do in fact pass by several more bits of equipment with glowing runes on them. Again, not enough for the universal translator to make heads or tails of it, but there are runes that would be some sort of display for the equipment they're attached to. And the closer you get to the bridge, or what you assume is the bridge, you're seeing more and more of the breastplate-like chunks of metal. I would say by this point you've seen about 20 of the things.
And they're just kind of haphazardly.
Yeah,
On
they're
the
just
floor?
sort of strewn across the floor, not in any really rhyme or reason.
I want to
I don't like
scan
this.
for decay rate. I want to look for a decaying isotope.
Okay.
I would like to make an insight, I guess it'd be science, roll with cultural studies to see if I can even guess if these are armor or they're just so alien I have no clue.
Let's do the doctor's things first. So reason medicine for the doctor, please. Difficulty 2.
And I'm going to invoke cautious medicine.
Okay, that means you do have to spend a momentum.
Yeah, you guys okay with that?
May I
That's what
assist
it's there
him
for.
with advisor?
Go for it.
Sure, I'll let it happen.
Okay.
Let's see. Don't have a focus for this. I'm looking for radiation.
I'll assist.
Well, only one of you can assist, so you can't just, pile everybody's assist onto this.
Oh, okay. So Morgan's already assisting then.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
All
I
right,
called
well.
for cautious. That allows me to re-roll 0.
Right, and you needed to roll 3 dice, so just go ahead and roll 2d20 instead of just the 1.
Wait, I rolled 2 more d20 now?
Yep.
How do I get that?
Just roll like you would normally.
All
You,
right.
you had bought a momentum.
Yeah, because you bought a momentum, it's an extra dice.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah, much, much nicer. And if Morgan assists, that's even more momentum.
Is this for reason plus command?
Yeah, I'll let it happen.
Sheet's bugging out on me. Okay, there we go.
All right, so that's a grand total of 4 momentum. So you guys are at 5. And yeah, Galen, you're actually able to detect something very interesting. Remember how before I said that this wasn't a DNA-based life form, or at least there weren't any traces of such?
hmm
You're detecting what would indicate a silicon-based life form, or at least the remnants of such.
interesting. Would the remnants be the results of radiation bombardment and decay?
Yes, in fact, since you have so many successes, I will say that your guess is that whatever this life form used to be, um, it was vaporized by intense amounts of radiation. I would say several orders of magnitude higher than the radiation that is currently being emitted by both the chunks of metal and by the actual hull of the vessel.
Interesting. And originally, when we came across this vessel, the vessel was producing more energy than it was absorbing.
That is correct, yes, and it was still doing so when you came inside.
Has the intensity increased?
It has not.
Decreased?
Stayed the same.
Interesting.
GM, what's our chronometer at so far since we actually left the shuttle?
We'll say about 15 minutes.
Okay.
Well, whatever these were, I think this is what's left of them. They seem to have been destroyed by radiation. Much more powerful than what this ship's currently producing. But I'd still want to keep an eye on everyone's health. And any locked doors I should examine first. I can take a hit better than you can. At least I think I can.
It's for the best, Doc.
GM point order.
Mm-hmm.
Adiona's going to try to check in with the UA team.
Okay. Adiona does not get a signal through. I mean, obviously you're able to ping the shuttle, but you're not able to ping the away team. Even using the shuttle as a relay.
Very well.
And Mayweather, you can probably guess based on everything that has just happened, but if you'd still like to make the roll, we can.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, this would be a insight plus science, I guess, in your case. And cultural studies would apply. Difficulty is only a 2.
This is not going to go well.
I have faith. Of the heart.
Oh, God.
Oh.
I just have my basic academy science training.
All right. Hey, you got
better
one
than-
success, so something. Yeah, Mayweather, I mean, you take in everything the doc says, and you're looking at the chunks of metal, and you guess that maybe the creatures, whatever they were, might have been humanoid, and that they would be about 1.5 times larger than, any of you. But beyond that, it's beyond you.
Did the gravity of the ship change to our standard when the atmosphere changed, or is it like a light gravity, as in they may have evolved on a lighter gravity, so they're taller, or
I would say it's actually about the same level of gravity. It's like 0.975 Earth gravity.
okay, so it's not that light.
No.
Alrighty.
The only radiation emanating from this ship is in the neutronium. Is that correct?
And from the chunks of metal, yes.
Yeah, which is also neutronium, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But none of the rest of the structure shows any signs of a rapid influx of radiation.
That is correct.
So I explained that to you, Commander Morgan, and perhaps they ran into an accident rather than had an accident on board. What if they had run into one of these Andromeda nodes of radiation and suddenly overwhelmed their systems at some point in their past?
Would we be able to determine that? Probably much better once we access the previous flight data from the bridge, and then correlate it with the Adiona's own charts. Or will we not be able to have information out that far?
I'm just building on a working theory at the moment, and we proceed on to the bridge, I guess.
I guess we'll only one way to find out.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, you eventually find your way to the bridge, and I couldn't find a suitable map for this, so we'll just use our imagination here. When you step onto the bridge, it is a wide, sweeping room, maybe about 2 or 3 times the size of your own bridge back on the Adiona. Big difference here is that there are no chairs, or at least there does not appear to be any. It is similar in nature to, say, a Dominion or Jem'Hadar vessel, in that all of the consoles, all of the terminals, all of the displays seem to be for a standing creature. Now, that said, they are at a higher height than what you are used to. So normally they would be, I would say, at waist level or just above it. These are definitely upper chest level, if not head level. There's also actual windows out into space, just like the old original Enterprise used to have. And there's also sort of that takes up the middle of the bridge. There is, we'll say, about a 10 feet by 5 feet glass panel, or it appears to be a glass panel, that has all sorts of runic displays and other such data upon it. As before, well, maybe not as before specifically, but you're definitely seeing active terminals, active symbology. There are readouts of some sort. And again, your universal translator is still trying to figure out what the hell's going on, but you are at least seeing that systems are active, systems are running fine, and we'll go from there.
I have a horrible idea I want to try.
Okay.
It'd be worse than
No.
mine.
It's gonna be creepy, I should say. I want a Slender Man myself.
Okay. So you basically want to elongate your limbs and basically become taller.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
That's so creepy.
Mari gives a single raised eyebrow at the sudden Slender Man.
I'll look at a console. I want to look for a data port or a way to interface.
So I will say, looking at it, it's a very similar interface to the one you found in the shuttle bay, where it is sort of holographic raised symbols on a black surface. But obviously, there's a lot more of the symbols this time, and you're not just seeing blues and yellows. This time, you're seeing greens, you're seeing reds, and the symbols do not in any way resemble that of the ones you saw down in the shuttle bay.
Okay. But is there like a data access point, like a USB port?
No, you're not seeing anything like that.
Is there a seam I could find that can access the underside of the panel?
You certainly could try.
I will attempt to look with Ensign Smith.
Okay. So while they're doing that, what are the rest of you doing?
I'm gonna use my tricorder and see if I can remotely scan um, anything that looks like star charts, navigation, that type of thing, so we can at least start figuring out either where this ship came from. If I can correlate that, then maybe we can start getting a translation matrix.
Let's see, what would this be? Let's have you do a control plus science? Sure, control plus science.
Astronavigation?
Yeah.
I don't mind assisting on that roll.
Go for it.
Can I say that's a control plus command?
Mm-hmm. All right, there's one success.
Oh, with advisor, I guess he gets to re-roll a d20. So I guess to try again one more time.
Okay.
Still not
Nope.
enough. I'll give you an option here. I will let this succeed at cost, but I will get the 2 threat.
Well, guys?
I would take it. We got a lot of momentum banked up, so
Okay, deal.
Okay. So, Mayweather, you find yourself moving, I would say, almost instinctually towards the big glass holographic panel I mentioned before. And as you try to interface via your tricorder, you find that the symbology in the display shifts and turns. And though you're still not getting a concrete, English translation, you are able to begin to pick out that the display is showing what appears to be a star chart. And looking at the star chart and comparing it to what you've got on your tricorder, this is some part of the Andromeda Galaxy that is quite far from your current position.
Interesting. Lieutenant Merrick, I need your expertise in stellar cartography.
Okay. What would you like me to do?
I will show you the data I just received and with comparison of the scans I got from the Adiona and
So
your
we'll,
thoughts.
so we'll try to figure out time frame.
Yep.
When the ship appeared, and
Sure, stellar drift and all that kind of fun stuff.
okay, and also propulsion. It seems like they just appeared here, and now we're at impulse. So what method did they use to come here? Can we get that from this astronavigation that they have right now?
You get part of it. Which part I won't say. But if you want to make, excuse me, if you want to make a roll, this is going to be a reason science. The difficulty here is going to be a 4.
I'll assist.
And we'll use 1 momentum.
Okay. So I believe you are down to 4.
Astronavigation again?
And
Yeah,
I,
for you. Yeah.
and I'm using astrometrics.
Okay. So, all right. So you got the 4 successes you needed. Merrick, you'd have to obviously hook back up with the Adiona to be 100% sure, but what you're guessing is that based on the relative position of the stars that you're seeing on the display compared to your own, yeah, you should be at 3 momentum overall because I forgot a scene change. Um, the stars that you're seeing would indicate that this vessel was launched approximately 50 years ago from this area of space that is being displayed.
I share that information. We can't make a determination how long they've been cruising along at impulse, this partial impulse.
If you spend a momentum, I might be able to tell you.
Do I get the one free question as science officer, or is it only in the bridge?
No, you get it as science officer wherever you are. So if that's
Okay.
your one question,
Yeah, when did they actually appear here? I mean, when they launched, and when did this accident, I'm calling it, happen to them?
okay. I would say because all you're working on at this point is symbology. You don't have actual concrete logs that you can interpret. Uh, your best guess is that if this was launched 50 years ago, that in order to get to where it is now, either they're possessing technology that is comparable to your QSD, or they received one hell of a boost from something. Because there's no way at its current speed that it could be where it is.
Or both?
Or both, yeah.
Because you mentioned the caretaker's array that could suddenly move you great distances.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also still entertaining the idea that they maybe ran into a source of energy that overwhelmed their systems, killed the crew, and caused maybe a burst of speed to bring them to this point. I think the next step is to get translations, try to get the universal translator, try to find a language database of some sort.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a standard tricorder as well. I think linking these things together might assist a bit in processing. Or is it just a missing data kind of situation?
I think you could manage. We just have to make it a extended task. So at the moment, so that we're all keeping track of the same time, you're at 45 minutes into your 2-hour window. And it is about a 15-minute trek back to your shuttle. So keep that in mind. For this extended task, each roll is going to be 15 minutes. So you have, what is that? You basically have four rolls to complete the extended task and thus come up with a translation matrix before you'll have to head back to the shuttle and return to the Adiona. Well, at least most of you. Galen could probably stay behind just fine. But let's see, where did I put it in my notes? It's here somewhere. I'll find it, hold on.
While they're doing that, do we find a theme?
Yes, while I'm looking at my notes, you do find a seam and you are able to pop the panel off, and it's pretty much what you were expecting from any typical Trek panel. There's just a jumble of wiring that is just cheap fiber optic cable because the sound effect people didn't have anything else to use. And a bunch of power conduits that otherwise are not immediately recognizable. Like, you can guess functionality of some of it, but you're not really able to determine, if you pull this wire, what the result would be.
I don't want to pull the wire. I want to do something a little bit risky that might
Okay.
help with this task. Uh, I want to upload my program into the ship's computer.
Okay. I would say that that would be an extended task of its own.
I guess Galen's got the lead on the language stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely say that that would be its own extended task.
Well, if we accomplished the language download, access would probably be a lot easier if we can actually get to the language.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I'll wait to see how this one goes. But if they have to go back to the shuttle, I will do this then.
Okay. All right, so I finally found it where it is in my notes. So this is going to be a extended task with a work track of 13, a magnitude of 3, a base difficulty of 4, and a default task of reason and science.
I can take the lead. I'm not sure I have an appropriate focus for languages, unless it's something different. I do have intense scrutiny. That would help, right? Maybe?
Well, it is a extended task, so
Well, Smith is just a jarhead, so.
Do any of my focuses apply to try to crack the code, as it were? I'm not sure.
your focus is no.
Yeah, I didn't think so. How about Mayweather? He's a linguist.
Yeah, well, he's a cultural studies person. Yeah, Mayweather would have a focus. Problem is I think Mayweather's reason science is what, a 10?
9.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but it's an assist. It beats nothing.
So I explained to Captain Morgan,
Captain
or
Morgan,
sorry,
he's been promoted.
Captain Morgan. Yeah, Captain. Commander Morgan. I can attempt it, but linguistics is not my particular expertise. But I think I might be able to solve some of the difficulties, perhaps.
Well, by all means, you may proceed at your discretion.
Okay, so you said reason,
Science.
science, and how many momentum do we have?
You got 3 at the moment.
I'd like to spend. Well, I'd like to use my determination because I think we need this.
Okay, what would be the value you're calling upon?
Every problem has a solution.
Okay, and I'm assuming you're using the 2 automatic successes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And can I also spend 1 momentum?
You have to spend 2 momentum actually because the determination dice that it gives you automatically is a 1, but it does count as a dice.
Okay, I'd like to do that, and I'd like to make sure if any of my talents, how they apply. Intense scrutiny or testing a theory. Also, I'm using cautious science. I might be using a few of them, so.
It's been a while. I'd have to look up testing a theory. One moment. Let's see.
That one is if I've had a success, I get an extra die, I believe.
While you're looking that up, I actually do think on second glance, I may have the ability to assist Merrick.
Alright, so intense scrutiny. Whenever you succeed at a task using reason or control, so it would apply here. As part of an extended task, you may ignore up to 2 resistance for every effect rolled. Cool. Testing a theory. Whenever you attempt a task using engineering or science, so it applies here. You may re-roll or roll an additional 1d20 so long as you succeeded at a previous task covering the same scientific or technological field earlier in the same adventure.
Probably not yet.
Not yet.
And technical expertise is the computers, right? The ship.
Correct.
Okay, so we're using intense scrutiny and cautious science.
Okay.
And I get to roll one additional die, and I have 2 successes because of the determination.
Correct. And I'm going to spend some threat here. I'm going to make it 16 to 20. Or at least the complication range, anyway.
No focus, though.
No focus. All right, so that's 5 successes. That's all you need. So,
5 is the magic mark, right, for extended task?
also you rolled medicine, not science. What is your science?
5.
5. Okay, yeah, so you didn't get any crits. Okay. You are, in fact, able to do a little bit of work here, so...
That was difficulty 4, right?
Yeah, it was difficulty 4, so you guys get a momentum. So Merrick, I'd like you to roll me now. It's 2 plus your science score, so 7 challenge dice for the work done. Oh, hold on.
Hopefully I can re-roll some of those.
If you spend a momentum, you get to re-roll the ones you want.
Guess I'll do 4, right, guys?
Yep. Well, at least you got an effect, so if there's any resistance, you blow through that.
Mm-hmm. All right, so a grand total of 6 work done.
Hey, that's a breakthrough!
Say again?
I said, hey, that's a breakthrough.
It is indeed.
The resistance was 1 on that, right?
Mm-hmm. So, you're out of 6 out of 13 work done. The magnitude of 3, you're 1 out of 3 on the way there. And you do achieve a breakthrough. And narratively, what that means is, Merrick, you do your best to gather as many scans visually of the glowing symbology and pipe it into your tricorder's universal translator. And the translator churns away and is eventually able to start spitting out very basic terminology. It's definitely not enough to actually determine complex sentences. I would say this is maybe Google Translate level, going between, say, English and Japanese. So it's very, very easy to make mistakes and mistranslations, but some of the basic symbols and runes, you are able to determine their meaning.
So I can continue, but does this help Galen to perhaps consider what he wanted to do now?
I would say Galen would be able to confirm that he is indeed holding a science station panel in his hands, but as far as the interior guts of said panel, not so much.
Okay, so I just go through a roll again. We might have to redetermine how much, but...
Yeah, so the difficulty is now a 3, and it's still reason science.
I can spend that last momentum.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have my determination. I don't have my determination anymore.
Nope, that's gone.
But I do have testing a theory.
You do have testing a theory, yes.
So that's a total of 4 dice.
Yep.
Actually,
hold on. In order to get the additional dice via momentum, you'd have to spend 2, because testing a theory's dice does count as a die.
I see. So I'd have to give you a threat.
Yeah.
What do you say, guys?
just a second.
We want-
I want to attempt to assist, but Commander Morgan is in command as the XO. Isn't there something for commanders giving people back their determination?
There is indeed. Let me look that up so I say the right thing here.
I believe that is the captain's power, and he has to be within comms.
I'm familiar with the one for the XO. He can buy back somebody's determination for 3 momentum at any time.
Yeah, so the
I think
XO
that's
can
how-
spend 3 momentum to regain the point of determination. The captain can just give their point of determination freely.
Wow. Yeah, no. That sounds like a logical step.
Can't do it. We already checked. The captain is
only.
out of radio range.
Mm-hmm.
If only. I'm saying if only though.
I'll explain to Captain or Commander Morgan that I could use some assistance. This is proving a little bit more difficult.
So we can do threat that way, or the way I was going to propose to assist is to use reasoning and con by comparing, inputting, where we know we are compared to Andromeda's galaxy with was it Freya?
Uh-huh.
iHouse species?
The
Where
Fryla.
their homeworld is, the Fallout, where their world is with, Earth degrees like bearing 360 degrees in the core and computing it and seeing if it's translating and using reason and con to assist them.
I'll let it happen.
Yeah, I think I know it. He's basically saying use the astrometrics that we do understand right now to kind of be the key to the rest of it. Okay, so that's how many dice then for me?
For you, are you going to give me that threat, or are you going to save that momentum?
I think I want to save it because I might want to re-roll effects.
All right, so you stay at 1. You're rolling 3 dice, and you're doing reason science. Mayweather is assisting with reason con.
But I do get the extra dice for testing the theory.
Yes, so you are rolling 3 overall.
Yeah,
Astronavigation?
Yep.
right.
All right, so unfortunately no hope from Mayweather.
Ouch.
You rolled medicine again.
Sorry about that.
Let's see, your science is a 5, so that 14 would be enough. So yes, that is 3 successes, all you need.
I don't have a focus here, so it'd have to be a natural one.
No, you rolled a 14, and last I checked, 14 is less than 17, so...
Oh, I see. Okay.
But yeah, go ahead and roll me your 7 challenge dice. See how much work you get done. Nice. So, Merrick, you and Mayweather working together are able to get the Universal Translator working at, we'll say, about 97% capability. And
Is
it is enough to not only decipher what you're seeing in displayed, seeing on displays, but also interface with them properly. And I'm just going to throw a few things at you guys, and you can determine where you want to go from there. So the first thing, since you were working from a sort of a navigational standpoint, the first thing that you're noticing is that in this very same far-off system that the ship seems to have originated from, there is mention of a quote-unquote catapult. And I would say you guys have rolled enough at this point, I can just tell you. It's very similar in nature to the graviton catapult that the Voyager encountered in the Delta Quadrant. And you're also seeing that shortly after activation of this catapult, there was a massive surge of radiation that not only knocked the ship off course, but also immediately killed all the crew. The one thing about the crew themselves that you're able to pick up is that they refer to themselves as the Muat. Muuat. And that's just initially what you're seeing. Of course, you can dig deeper from there. As a reminder, this is about the hour 15-minute mark, which means you've got about 30 minutes left before you have to start heading back to your shuttle.
Priority to put shields up, since they said they had shields. asking Commander Morgan.
Commander Morgan was thinking.
Am I correct in that the shields would stop? Would it stop the radiation since it's actually emanating from the ship?
Yeah, I was gonna
That's
say
a
it's
good
coming
question.
from the ship. I don't think the shields are gonna get you anything.
Yeah, I just thought of that. We could at least put maybe a force field, some kind of isolation field, which I do have um, some skills in that.
Yeah, containment fields.
Try to do such a thing and also try to get some isolation fields while we head down to. I'd like to split up between whatever they have that resembles a sick bay and the computer core. I want to get some more additional information before we leave the ship.
I want to
I mean-
download astrogation, star charts, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Of
I
course.
mean, you are on the bridge. It is, and you do have a translated matrix that you can work with. It probably would be just easiest to do that from the bridge rather than having to go to the computer core.
Well, wonderful then. I just wanted to make sure what state the rest of the actual ship was in case we needed to return to it.
Yeah, so we do a salvage style data dump, ship's logs, navigation, etc.
Okay.
Is there a way where we can just, open communications with the Adiona from here?
You are indeed seeing that there is a communication station to your right.
I'll
could
try
certainly try it.
opening. We'll try opening a channel.
All right, back on the Adiona. Zava reports that, sir, the ship is hailing us.
On screen, if possible.
Yeah. And sure enough, on screen is the away team.
It's the
Lieutenant
Adiona.
Mayweather. Sorry, sir.
Go ahead, Mayweather.
We are on the bridge. We have a lot of data on this ship, and we wish permission to transfer and download it before we have to get back due to radiation.
Go ahead and set up the data transfer. We'll be monitoring and we'll see if we can establish the backlink in case we need to pull anything else.
Okay.
Aye, sir. I will look at Lieutenant Commander Abbott. That seems more her purview than mine.
Understood. Anything else you need?
I'll look at Commander Morgan.
Well, I'll move into frame and just say love and understanding.
Said what?
Love and understanding.
Hurry up and finish and get back on to ship.
Okay.
All
Here,
right.
Smith, pip up. It's like, sir, we're getting close to bingo time.
All right, so I'm gonna do a quick poll here. We can do this one of a couple ways. I can just exposition it to you guys for a little bit, but I feel like that's not gonna be as fun if I actually take the time to give you guys handouts and you guys can figure it out from there. I was initially going to do the handouts thing, but I wasn't sure you'd get this far. I honestly thought you might spend a little bit of time being freaked out by empty ship, but luckily you guys didn't let your paranoia get the better of you, so kudos to that. So the option A is that I exposition it you guys and maybe remove a little bit of the mystery. Or, hold on. Or option B is we call the session a little bit early today, and we make this a two-parter. And next session, I will have a good amount of logs for you guys to sift through, and you guys can come to kind of your own conclusions. So it's entirely up to how you guys want to play it.
I'm down for a two-parter.
I'm open.
I'll open
Two-parter.
a two-parter.
Okay.
And
I'm
we're
hearing two-parter.
Starfleet. We don't get paranoid.
Well, I've run the whole empty ship scenario before, and as Arcadia and Ophion have proven, there are times when paranoia definitely wins the day. All right, well,
Stupid space station.
let's do that then. Let's do the two-parter. So players, stick around for a little bit. But to anyone, hi Jet. Hi. Thank you for buzzing my house.
Hello, Mr. Jet. It's nice to see you again.
Yes, hello. Yeah, but to anyone watching on Twitch or YouTube, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you hopefully next week. Bye-bye.